loud button. Cool, there we are. So welcome to the August 2022 meeting of the SPJ Freelance Community. It's Wednesday, August 10th, a little after 4 o'clock East Coast time. And y'all, I will just confess that my excuse for not having an agenda this time is that I just am home from 3 weeks of intense traveling. So I know that we have a handful of things that we're just sort of like still needing to push over the finish line. So I'll be working individually with like Ruth and Solomon on the bylaws, and with Ruth on the On Your Own guide, to see what we can do to push that forward before the fall conference. And I know that we're gonna want to talk a bit today about the fall conference and what we need to do to get ready for that, and also the freelance fellowships for the fall conference. I'm still digging my way through like 3 weeks of emails. So so does anybody have anything else pressing that you want to make sure we discuss, whether it is old business or new business? And I also welcome the guests, actually, and since we have a few people here who are joining us, I think for the Rick, I think this is your first time at a board meeting, right? And Paul, I feel like I'm trying to remember if you've been at one of our meetings before.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I got invited twice, but I had some scheduling conflicts, and I just got a new phone as well. So now I get email on my phone for my new business account. So I saw this one right away, and I was just like, oh yeah, that was today. Because
Awesome.
I also interviewed for a job today, so there was that. So yeah, we'll see.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll just go ahead and do super quick introductions, just so that like everybody knows who everybody else is. My name is Hillary Niles, and I'm the chair of the Freelance Community. And we are run by an elected board of volunteers. This is my 5th and final year as the chair, and we will be having elections coming up this fall. So if anybody feels inspired to volunteer to help lead the community, that's a little bug to put in your ear. I live up in New Hampshire, and I'm in my 8th year of freelancing, kind of a mix of data journalism, public radio, and print and digital. So we can go, Hazel, do you want to go next? I'm just going to go in the order in which people are on my screen.
Sure. I'm Hazel Becker. I am a retired journalist with freelancing at the beginning and end of my career. I'm an original member of the Freelance Community. I was a member of the Freelance Committee that existed before we became a community in 2014. And I've held various offices, and I'm basically just there to do whatever people need to have done.
She's
way too modest.
Solomon, would you go next?
Oh, sure. My name is Solomon Smith. I'm the project coordinator, most junior member of the team here. I'm also a student, Rick. So getting ready to go back to Northridge, hopefully. And then that's it.
Awesome, thank you.
He's
Ruth?
also our program person.
I think that's what he meant. He said project coordinator, but I think you meant
I'm sorry, program coordinator. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Ruth, will you go next?
Certainly. I've been freelance writing, editing, and proofreading full-time since 1984. So it's been a while. And I currently am doing all of that for a variety of clients, including a website that covers commercial real estate in the St. Louis area, which is where I'm based now. And I just finished a Zoom call was somebody I dated in college who is going to have me post to their social media account and edit and proofread the website for his luxury men's clothing business. And this is somebody I haven't seen or heard from or talked to since 1972. So it's very cool.
That's very fun. And we'll keep the full debrief for after the meeting is no longer being recorded. Because I got questions.
Ah.
That's very cool. Sounds
Yeah.
like fun. It's
It's
fun,
very
fun to
exciting.
be surprised.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Paul, would you mind going next?
Okay, my name is Paul Bagnall. I've been a part-time freelancer for the last 4 years. I live on Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts. So I've been writing for the MV Times, the Vineyard Gazette, MV Magazine, and Vineyard Style Magazine. And I'm looking into breaking into podcasting next. So I have trying to work on a podcast show. And I actually found the Society of Professional Journalists like this year, pretty much the beginning of this year when I was networking. So it's great to be part of the community and great to learn more about the freelance profession.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I'm glad you found us and thank you for being here. B, would you like to go next?
Sure. My name is B. Wren. I do a lot of stuff, including freelancing. I've written and produced at Turner Broadcasting, locally with the newspaper, nationally with reality TV shows, and currently, and also in independent film as well as documentary film. I just kind of, anything that allows me to be creative, I just try to do it. Also have a couple of podcasts and am a graduate, newly in a graduate program for journalism here in Alabama, and also a film student. So I'm doing both, and I'm enjoying both, and I can't let one go. So I just kind of do as much as I can. Let's see. I could go on, because I've been at this since I was a freshman in college in the mid 80s. So I've been doing this for a long time. And actually, that's how I was first introduced to SPJ as a freshman in college. And recently more back to my freelance journalism because I'm just angry with what's happening to journalism. So that's that.
Thank you for being here, especially with all that you're doing. I don't know. I want to find out from you how you manufacture that many more hours in a day.
It's ADHD. I'm putting my ADHD to use.
There you go. Cool. Well, thanks for being here. Susan, would you go next? And then we'll do Joan and Rick.
So I'm Susan Vallett. I've been freelancing here in the Los Angeles area. I mean, on and off for like my entire career, but really for the past, now going into 11 years, mostly in the public radio space and in the podcast space. I do podcast stuff for Quantum Magazine and also edit the Writers Co-op podcast, which is on hiatus right now. And I also teach as an adjunct at a community college, and in SPJ on the board, on the freelance board, I help with the Twitter feed and help with the Facebook feed. And that's pretty much it. Although I've kind of like Hazel and Alex have both been a big help, even though Alex is not here, because they flag stuff for me on Twitter. So it's not, I'm not constantly having to search when I run out of time, like the past couple of weeks. So.
Susan has also been helping us track, she's sort of been our advocacy, freelance advocacy point person, especially related to AB5 in California and the Federal PRO Act. That
And the ABC tests, which are now starting to pop up in other states.
yeah.
Surprise.
So employment classification issues.
Yeah.
All right, and we appreciate all of that. Joan, would you go next?
Hi, my name is Joan Quilligan. I basically have been getting back into, because I do various different things. I don't do investigative reporting, which is my main thing, full time. I also run another business. I basically have been working from the 80s for a news agency based in Amsterdam, worked for various newspapers in the UK and in Ireland, and have been commissioned to investigate background information for private companies, private individuals, and I find that's where my forte is. So I've also done a lot of different type of writings as well, designed programs, did policy documents. So I kind of do a lot of different things like everybody else does. And that's where I am at the moment.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. And Rick, you want to finish it up?
Hi, my name is Rick Sennett. I'm a senior at WSU Everett. I graduated from Everett Community College with an associate's in journalism. My degree that I'm working on at WSU is in integrated strategic communications. And when I transferred over to WSU, I was one of the students selected for the rural journalism program, and also one of the first people from Everett to go to Serbia for the backpack journalism program.
Cool.
And my passion is trying to fix news deserts. It's extremely important, and it's I feel kind of my calling.
Awesome. I wasn't sure if I was still muted. I was taking notes. That's awesome. Very cool. And it's cool also to see like non-traditional students and people at different stages of careers here in the meeting. So thank you everybody for being here. And Stacy Overton Johnson is our vice chair. She'll hopefully be joining us shortly. And then Ginny McCabe and Stacy, well, she can introduce herself, but she's primarily a TV producer, focuses on mostly health stories and also food, and has international experience. And Ginny McCabe is based in Cincinnati, and she is our stalwart secretary. So, okay, so we talked about, oh, Hazel, go ahead.
I just wanted to note that we have two from California. Hillary and I are both East Coasters. Rick is a West Coaster. We have Ruth in the very middle of the country. Joan, are you in New York? Do I remember that right?
New Jersey.
New Jersey, right. So I think it's just great that we have such a diversity. Oh, and B's in the South. That was the other thing I noted. And I think it's just really cool that we have people from all around the country. It's good.
Yeah, agreed. And also not just from cities, you know, and not just from like the sort of metropolis journalism hubs. I think
And from all, it's not just print. We have a pretty good variety of different types.
Yep.
Yeah, including Solomon. I don't know if Solomon bragged enough during his intro, but Solomon is a photojournalist. So I think it's awesome to have that represented here too.
I'm thinking we cover it all. I can't think of anything we've missed.
So are there topics that I didn't mention at the start? We want to talk about programming for the upcoming conference. And I know that we need to adjust the freelance fellowship if that hasn't already been done. Sorry, I'm kind of out of
Do
it.
we have an agenda that's posted anywhere?
Nope, not for today. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm still digging out from 3 weeks of
Okay,
traveling.
I just thought maybe I missed it.
Nope.
Okay.
No, I missed it. So is there anything else that people want to, well, the August programming is something that I wanted to talk about too, August and September programming. Like
Are
our
we
month-
going to do anything in August? Because it's already almost the middle of the month.
Well, that's why we need to talk about it. So we could just start there. We had talked about doing a volunteer fair in August to highlight volunteer opportunities within the freelance community. And then we had talked about doing a session in September on making the most of the Media Fest, the upcoming annual conference. And then, of course, not doing a monthly program in October because we will be doing the conference in October. So what are people's thoughts on those two, on that slate for August and September?
The idea of the volunteer session, I like, because that would be very easy to throw together even in this call. But I think we usually do those around the third week of the month. I think because it's already the 10th of
We
August.
usually do the fourth. We usually do the fourth
week.
one.
Okay, in that case, for the fourth week, if we plan it and get the word out by Friday of this week, it should be doable.
Yeah, and the other thing is that so it would be 2 weeks from today. We could also just do it on the last the last Wednesday of the month. If we wanted to give ourselves an extra week, we could do it on August 31st instead of August 24th.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
that's a good
what I
idea.
was trying to suggest, that we do it as late in the month as possible.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And then for September, since the convention isn't until late October, right? I'm having trouble keeping that, the end of October. For September, we could think about either something about making the most of the convention,
Right.
or about networking in general, and then mentioning the convention. And for October, we could do something specifically about convention offerings and making the most of the event and all that kind of stuff.
So my preference would be to, and Solomon, feel free to weigh in on this. My preference would be to just stick to making the most of Media Fest in September and not trying to do an October program, because I would rather focus on the many things that have to happen before pulling the conference together.
It would also be a good way to solicit volunteers for us, find out who's going, and fill those spots and get people to show.
That's a good
Another
point.
reason that I like doing it, doing that program in September, is that the early bird deadline is not until October 4th or 6th or something like that. And so people still have time to register. So if we promote that program as what would I get if I go to Media Fest?
Yeah.
And we have the opportunity. I don't know if you guys have looked at the programs. They're unveiling them slowly on the SPJ website, and without the schedule. They haven't done the schedule yet, but they're revealing the programs, and I can't believe how many freelancers are producing and presenting at the various sessions. It's just wonderful.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, and when did you say, Hazel, when did you say the early bird deadline is?
I forget I think it's October 6th,
Okay.
but it may be here. I'm going to look it up, Hillary, while you talk about something else.
Okay. Actually, I will invite Paul to talk about something else because you had your hand up earlier, Paul.
I'm pretty interested to find out more about the volunteer opportunities.
Okay.
I mean, I just joined in February, and I got the membership for the New England chapter. So I was just wondering if there's like anything that I can help out with or get more involved with. Um, Also, on just like a little side note, I also came back from 2 weekends ago from the Writers Digest conference in New York.
Oh, cool.
And there's actually a surprising amount of freelancers that go to that have a background in freelance journalism. And I was able to network through that event too. So it's kind of, it's more about fiction, just some nonfiction screenwriters. There's like all sorts of writers that come to that one. So I thought that was kind of interesting and
Awesome.
surprising.
Cool. Thanks for mentioning that. And I'm glad that you found that worthwhile. That's not one that I've ever been to.
I keep meaning to, and it keeps conflicting with other things.
Highly recommend it. It's definitely worth the time.
Awesome. Cool. All righty. And I see in the chat that the early bird deadline is October 4th. Cool. So that is encouraging, Paul. And I feel like in the past, in a previous board meeting, when we talked about the idea of doing a little volunteer fair like that, there was interest from others as well. So I think that would be really great to do in August. And then can we set a date for the September program? If folks can maybe check out your calendar. Let's see, the
The
board
third
meeting.
Wednesday.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the third and fourth Wednesdays are 21st and 28th respectively.
Mhm. So we kind of typically have our board meetings on the second Wednesdays and the monthly programs on the fourth Wednesdays. So does Wednesday the 28th work
Works for me.
here?
That works fine for me.
Okay. All right, let's go for that on Wednesday the 28th. And that gives us 4 full weeks in between the two programs, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, that's smart.
Okay. So let's see. All right, so sticking to programming, just while we're on the subject, all 4 of our proposals for the Media Fest got accepted, so that's super exciting. We'll do Freelancing 101, Freelancing 201, which is in response to people who have, to people who are already at it and are looking for ways to deepen their career and their freelance work, rather than like just learning how to do freelance journalism. And then we also have our very popular editor meet and greet. And then the moving mediums. So that is about, that's targeted toward like mid-career journalists who are interested in trying out, maybe moving from print to broadcast, for example, or developing a new beat, a specialty in a new beat. So that's exciting that all 4 of those were accepted. We will also do what I call our extracurricular programming, and I'll be working with Karen Sneath on the details for the Freelance Corner, but we'll definitely host a Freelance Corner again, as always, at the convention. So sometimes it's in a corner, sometimes it's in a hallway. Sometimes it's we might be in the exhibit hall this year. We're not sure yet. So we're working that out with Karen. We usually also do happy hour or organize people just on their own to go out to a restaurant somewhere together. That's always really fun. We usually get a pretty good crew of freelancers together for that. So that's really a nice opportunity to just talk to people in a new way and get to know people personally, not just professionally. And then we also usually hosts like a coffee one morning and a brown bag lunch another day of the conference. So we're, for folks who have not been to an SPJ conference before, the freelancers pretty much rock it. And have a really good time doing it too. So there's tons of networking that happens there, and just lots of support to be connected with resources and people who can help you develop your career. Let's see, I don't want to get into the, like on this call, I don't want to get into the weeds of all of the planning, but the highlights that I want to make sure we address in the run up to the conference are, in addition to just supporting each other to get all of the sessions organized and get your handouts finalized and sort of extra supporting materials like that, that we'll have organized for easy distribution and dissemination through the shared board folder, you know, a handout for each session and so forth. We also usually do like a spreadsheet where people can just, to assist with networking, where people can just enter their names and their email addresses and a little note about what they do. And so that's a shared spreadsheet. And so we'll want to get all of those resources and supporting documentation finalized and lined up. We are hoping to unveil the updated On Your Own guide to freelancing. So that's going to require a pretty heavy lift between now and then, because in addition to getting the updates actually done, we're also trying to transition that to a different publication platform, because right now it's all hand-coded HTML. Hazel, can you give me the quick recap of what the person found? What did we find a platform that we have decided is the way we should go, or is it still in the pondering stage?
It's the person did the same kind of scan that I did 5 years ago to look for platforms for producing the guide.
Okay.
And came up with the same one that I did.
Okay, so can we just pull the trigger on that? Is there a cost involved?
There is a cost involved. Well, maybe, I mean, I can probably find the money for that. I wonder if it's the kind of thing that we could use the freelance fund for.
I would think so.
I don't see why not.
Yeah.
So, but I want to talk with Erwin and John, or, you know, with the foundation folks to make sure that they agree with that.
Okay.
It becomes operating expenses down the road, and the foundation does not generally fund operating expenses for SPJ. So this is a different situation because it's technology that SPJ would not otherwise, I don't think, invest in. And
could we make a case, Hazel, that if they support our using it for this project, it would make the technology available to other SPJ projects?
Probably not, because it's a user basis. So, you know, I think it's something like $240 a year. I don't remember. It may be $240 a year for one user. I need to get back into looking at how that technology and also Airtable are priced, because Airtable has changed its pricing recently too.
Oh, okay.
And, so I want to look at those things, and then I want to make the inquiry of whoever the executive director is going to be.
Yeah. When is John's? I got that like on a very hectic day of travel. I have not even dug through that email thread. When, so John Schertzer is the SPJ executive director, and he just gave his notice.
Right.
I thought for the end of August, but I could be wrong.
Sometime in the end of August, it's like the 24th or 26th or something like that.
Okay.
He gave them 1 month notice,
Okay, thank you.
but we
Um,
don't know yet who's going to be the interim
Right.
executive director while they do a search.
Right.
And I can, I'll look into that. Let's take that offline.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to know for timing purposes.
Right.
Well, it should be an interesting convention.
Yes.
And Godspeed to whoever is named the interim director.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, I also want to get a flyer made, a handout made about we can keep it digitally, but also have it see if maybe headquarters can run some off for us or whatever. I'll just take them down the road and bring them myself. But some paper flyers that describe the freelance community in updated terms. And then we also are going to need to schedule our annual meeting. There's annual meeting, there's getting the bylaws finished before then. And then there is scheduling the elections. So that's just sort of like placeholders for things that are on the radar that need to happen either before or at the convention, in addition to all of the official programs and in addition to all of the extracurriculars. Solomon, did you want to ask your, let's see, I'm looking at our chat. Yes, regional reps, we should talk about that. So Solomon, you and I can talk about the Freelance Corner separately.
Okay.
Unless there's a question that you think would benefit the group now.
No, I haven't been to it, so most of you guys already probably know, are familiar with it. I'm trying to figure out how this works. So,
Oh, okay. Well,
stuff.
I can describe it for everybody because other people who might not have been there before. Like I said, the Freelance Corner, sometimes it's set up in a quarter, sometimes it's set up in the hallway. We might be in the exhibit room. We'll have to see where that goes. But generally, we have set up like a few, kind of like a smattering of cafe tables and chairs. And it's just a very, we have a little sign that headquarters provides for us. Sometimes we go rogue and make additional signage that we just tape on the wall to get people's attention, and put other signs, like at the top of the escalator, like, hey, Freelance Corner this way or whatever. And it's just a casual place.
Just a place to hang out.
Yeah. For
Between
freelancers
sessions, or if you're not doing something at a given moment. And we haven't ever had a formal schedule of who from the community is there when, but the goal is to have someone there pretty much throughout the convention. So other freelancers or people who want to become freelancers feel like there is somewhere to go to meet colleagues and ask a few questions that might not come up anywhere else.
Yep, and we try to be placed where there are outlets. So we lure people into our lair by the promise of power to charge up their laptops and phones, which also just makes it more convenient and gets people to hang out longer. And yeah, like Ruth said, we don't go overboard to try to schedule who's staffing the Freelance Corner. It's just kind of like, it happens as it happens. When we do have extracurriculars, we have them at the Freelance Corner to try to raise the visibility of the Freelance Corner and just keep it like a central place, a central hub. And sometimes, sometimes you walk up to the Freelance Corner and there's no board members staffing it at all, but freelancers have just found it and are just using it and talking to each other and talking amongst themselves, which is totally the goal. So does that help describe it a little bit? And also Susan brings candy.
Not when I'm traveling from long distances. And I don't know if I'm going yet.
All right.
I'm still not confident in COVID.
If Susan doesn't make it, we will still have a candy dish in her name. Does that help, Solomon?
Yes, I had some other specific questions, but that.
Okay. Okay, cool. And then Solomon, you also brought up that they've been asking for regional reps. So without going like very deep into the weeds, into the delegate system, is there anything pressing that we need to talk about? Because again, I'm still digging my way through emails from the last few weeks. Okay. Okay. But there is so in addition to all of the conference programming, for those who haven't been there before, in addition to all of the conference programming, there also is a lot of like official business of the organization that's done at the annual convention. So the national board has a couple of meetings. They have a couple of business meetings. Those are, of course, open to anybody. Any SPJ member, probably anybody else can attend those. I have found those a really helpful way to get up to speed on more of what's happening at the national level and conversations at the board level. And in addition, SPJ operates with, it's kind of like SPJ's version of the legislative body. So it's there are delegates assigned by chapters and or regions, and to the extent that the any decisions need to be made by that legislative body, they have a big delegate meeting. So that is another thing that if you want to like really get involved in the national organization, can be kind of eye-opening about stuff that's going on. It can also be really long and kind of eye glaze over producing if you're not really interested in getting involved at the national level. So anybody who wants more information about the delegate system, we can talk offline.
Just really quick, I know that's a quagmire for us, but
Yeah.
Are we like, I mean, where did we land on that? Are we going to be represented? I'm still confused about that, how that's working for us.
So there is a proposal afoot to actually just do away with the delegate system.
Right.
Entirely, and we won't know where that is going to end up until the delegation meets, because the delegation itself has to vote on whether to do away with the delegate system or to make any changes to the delegate system.
Do we need like at least one or two people to try and be a voice for us there, or is that not going to matter at that point?
So Stacy has volunteered as a regional delegate.
Okay.
So she will definitely be there. And there are, I think at various chapters around the country, there are delegates who are very freelance oriented.
Okay.
Yeah. I burned out on those politics a little bit last year. So I'm trying to rally to at least just do due diligence this year. Paul, yeah, you have your hand up.
I've been in contact with over LinkedIn, what's his name? Adam
Sennett.
Yeah. The New England chapter. So I'm kind of curious, like if we move from freelance to like a full-time gig at a newspaper, is there still a way to interact with the freelance community, or?
Oh yeah,
Oh, sure.
100%. There's no freelance requirement. Any member of SPJ can be a member of the freelance community.
Okay.
There's no requirement about how much you have to freelance or how often or anything like that. We definitely welcome anybody who's just interested. If you do say you land that job that you just interviewed for, and if that's a full-time gig, we would still love to have you involved with the freelance community to whatever extent, it benefits you and that you'd like to be involved.
Yeah, a lot of people are freelancing on the side or want to know about freelancing in case the full-time gig disappears or whatever. So the mix sometimes is very informative and helpful.
I've noticed that nationally, like at some other, like someone would be working at a major publication, then they write for another one. So I've definitely noticed that. So
Yep, that definitely happens, and that's all great. That's all well and good, and it's definitely also encouraged to join your local chapter. In addition to being active in being a member of the freelance community or the international community as well, for that matter, or any of the other communities that are getting started.
I just want to also mention that there is a rural journalism community. And so there is an opportunity. The chair of that, it's not been super active and it doesn't have very many members, but I think knowing Al Cross as I do, I think he would welcome anybody who wants to volunteer to work with him on rural journalism issues. So I will be glad to make a connection if anybody here wants a connection on rural journalism.
Awesome. Thanks, Hazel.
I'm not sure if this is connected, but I am connected with my regional director, and I submitted several things to him for potential projects. And one that stuck out to him is food deserts, and especially with the recent shooting at the grocery store where it was only that one grocery store that was available in that area. And I have a similar history with that issue with food. My mother died when I was 2, so my father had to be responsible for her duties. And back then it was, very, the roles were definitely separated. And so definitely experiencing the food related stuff. So I don't know if the rural component would be also relevant, but if so, then maybe some kind of way could intersect. But we have been looking for folks who are who experience food insecurity and things like that.
Cool, thanks. So yeah, it sounds like maybe Al Cross would be a good person for both B and for Rick to connect with.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, great. Let's see, going through the departments, so to speak. Ruth, do you have any resources updates that you want to provide?
I am back into, from now through the weekend, I'm getting back into updating the how-to guide.
Okay.
And hoping to make progress on several more chapters over the next couple days. Other than that, and I'm also putting together a short item about our convention offerings for, is it Hana?
Hanan.
The newsletter?
Hanan.
Hanan, thank you. Hanan, for the newsletter. And I will send that to you, Hillary, before I send it to her, so you can make sure it's okay.
Well, while we're on that subject, could I just mention Hanan went to Mizzou for one of the IRE, I think it's a boot camp.
The
Yeah.
NICAR boot camp. Yeah.
Yeah.
And after she got there, she tested positive for COVID.
Oh boy.
So she is in hotel or motel room in Columbia, Missouri, doing her boot camp virtually. They set it up so that she could still attend her training,
cool.
but she's not feeling particularly well right now. She had enough energy to do the sessions today. So I don't know what's going to happen with next week's newsletter. I'm able to put in a little bit of time for it. I'm still doing like, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours of physical therapy on my own every day. So that pretty much ate up all my SPJ volunteer time.
Sure.
So,
Totally
could
understand.
use any
that
help.
comes-
Anybody wants to help with the newsletter, really would appreciate it.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And, you know, if we have to skip a week of the newsletter, then because somebody's sick, then we skip a week of the newsletter because somebody's sick. What's that, Hazel?
We already skipped a week and there's too much. There's too much stuff. We can't just let it go by.
Well, we also have to be realistic with expectations of ourselves and each other. So
I know.
just saying. All righty. Hazel, you wanted to talk about Facebook stuff. You sent an email. I think you wanted to talk about Facebook stuff.
I just noted that it was really good to have other people do a lot of what I do on Facebook for a week or two, but it needs to continue. So there hasn't been a Bragg's post for the last 2 weeks. And there are a whole bunch of people. I don't have time to look at the people who want to join the Facebook group and see whether they're legitimate.
Sure.
Unfortunately, I have seen an increase in the number of people who have asked to join our Facebook group who appear not to have anything to do with freelance journalism. So
I'm seeing the same thing, Hazel, in some of the groups that I'm in where people are asking to join who have nothing to do with the purpose of the group or the theme or whatever you might want to call it. And the time it takes to, you know, to vet them or just to look at them and see immediately, yeah, right, this is not somebody we want, is just ridiculous.
I don't know how to solve that, but I believe you can automate it so that if they don't answer the questions, it's an automatic decline and we wouldn't even have to deal with that.
That
so
would be
what if
great.
they only answer one of the 3 questions and all they say is I'm a
Yeah, are you a freelancer? And the answer is like journalism. It's
Yeah,
like,
or
I didn't ask that.
aspiring freelance journalist?
So I wonder if we should revisit the screening questions and see if we can build a little bit tighter of a screen into the questions. And
What I
also,
do with one of my groups, we keep getting people, if they even are human beings, they could be bots, but we keep getting so-called people who do not answer the screening questions. And if they don't answer the questions, I can't remember if it's 2 or 3, but if they don't answer the questions, that's an immediate out. If they're a legit
Yeah,
person,
and that can definitely be automated on
Yeah.
that. I know for sure. I don't know about like if they only answer one. Yeah, I go in there every few days. I don't do it, you know, I'm not paid to do it, so I don't do it like all the time. But so yeah, I do go back in and yeah. So I can automate, I'm pretty sure I can automate, like, you don't answer the questions, it's an automatic decline, and it will sort those out. And then we can deal, like, the questions are pretty, like, I think we have good questions. I don't think it's a problem of questions. I think it's that we get kind of sometimes weirdos or bots or whatever, and it produces gibberish. And because they have technically answered questions, it doesn't, you know, it gets around the automation.
They don't get bounced.
Yeah, and I think it's probably like if it is bots or that type of thing, it's probably their way of getting around filters, right? Like that's how they, if you don't answer questions, you're automatically declined. But if you answer gibberish for questions,
It looks like
some
you've
groups automatically allow, like, you know, so yeah, I don't, yeah.
Okay. So if you could look into automatically declining, Susan, if that would you
Yeah.
mind looking into
And
that?
then we will, like, we can write on there, if you do not answer all caps 3 questions, you
Yeah.
will be declined, period.
I would like to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not hard to do.
Okay. Excellent.
And I know
Okay.
sometimes we get, we'll get like a bunch at like, the NABJ conference was, you know, like, so if somebody happened to mention something in a conference session somewhere, then we'll get like a bunch of like, you know, so I mean that if we've had that recently, it could explain, you know, there have been several conferences going on.
Yep.
Could have been mentioned without even being realized that we've been mentioned. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And iPhone just joined, which I'm assuming is Stacy.
Hello.
Hey, welcome. And we are recording, Stacy. You weren't here when I said it to record, but we are recording, FYI.
Okay.
So welcome. I'm glad you could make it.
So sorry. Yeah, I really thought this would be done by 4, but wow. So sorry about that.
No worries. No worries at all. We were just talking about Facebook, and I do want to actually, on the topic of both the newsletter and Facebook, I do want to just give a shout out and a big thanks to everybody who has come together to be putting out the newsletter and keeping Facebook running, because Hazel has been out and normally does a lot of things. And so it's just been really great since our last board meeting when a bunch of things were identified that we needed to find coverage for. Unfortunately, I was traveling and not really able to pitch in, but I did see flurries of emails going back and forth from people who were putting the newsletter together and coordinating on the Facebook moderation. So huge thanks to everyone for chipping in.
Yeah.
Let's see, and duly noted about the Friday brag. So I can make myself a reminder to do that on Friday morning. Let's see here. It is just about 5. What's that?
Joan is leaving.
Oh, gotta go. Okay, great. Thank you, Joan, for being here. And yeah, you stay safe too. We'll hopefully see you again soon.
Bye now.
All right. Thanks a lot. Take care. Yeah, so it's 5 o'clock. We have technically half an hour left. We don't have to use up the whole amount of time. What have I missed on this agenda-less meeting day? Hazel?
I emailed to the board members
Oh, yeah.
the membership report. I'll just give you the top line, which is we have 469 members of the freelance community at this point.
Wow.
Didn't it used to be like 200?
No, it used to be like 100.
Oh, wow.
Yes, yes. And I believe the reason that we have so many is with the Impexium system, the new membership database system, when you fill out your profile, it's right there on the profile. You check off, do you want to be a member of the freelance community? Do you want to be a member of the international community? Do you want to be a member of the rural journalism community? I think that, oh, that one may not be listed there though, because I don't know that they have very many members, but there's also a check off there if you are interested in helping form an LGBTQ community. So it's right there. And so when people fill out their profile, they say, oh, I want to be in the freelance community, and they sign up.
Awesome.
And so Impexium has been in place for almost maybe 6 or 8 months now. And every month our numbers go up.
Do you think it's also because we're a little more visible than the other communities?
I think
We're more
gone
like
our way.
active online and visible.
Yeah, I think that's a possibility, but also we have acted like a community. We have really gone out and said to people, we want you to join. We want to know what you want from us, what you want from SPJ, and we produce things. And I think those are the reasons.
I think that having the like the newsletter and some value added benefits sort
Yeah.
of to membership help as well. Shoot, okay. Sorry, I think that's somebody who I want for the who I'm trying to nab for the moving mediums calling me back.
Oh,
But that's great. That's good that he's calling. So I think that helps. So like knowing that the newsletter and sort of trying to spread the word that the newsletter is a members only benefit. And when I do get like interest in coming to the board meetings, I usually say like, I look up if people are in the roster, and if they're not in the roster, I say, well, normally attendance at the board meetings is reserved for members. So here's how you can join. But in the meantime, sure, come along and join the board meeting, you know, just to like, I just feel like we're inclusive and we encourage people to come and to join in a lot of different ways. So I think we're doing great with that. I think that when we finalize the bylaws, we will make a decision over whether membership should be sort of permanent or if it should need to be renewed on an annual basis. And if we do, because right now, once you join the freelance community or any of the communities, you're a member of it until you unjoin, as opposed to chapter membership, which needs to be renewed. So I think if we do go to an annual basis, then we might see a fluctuation in the membership numbers, and we should be prepared for that. But I think it's okay. I mean, I don't think that's anything to be scared of, just something to be aware of. Yeah, Hazel?
I think that before we take a stand and say we want to have annual renewals, there are a few things to look at. And one is that the way you sign up for a chapter,
the
way you join a chapter and renew your chapter membership is different from us.
Right.
Communities have the little check boxes that I mentioned on the profile. But if you want to join a chapter, there's a whole different rigmarole you have to go through. I did talk with Adam Sennett the other evening. And he suggested, for those who don't know, he's the national membership chair. And
he's also the president of New England Pro Chapter.
New England chapter. And he does not like their system.
Right.
So he recommends that we not go to that.
Yeah.
But people can go into their profile anytime they want and uncheck freelance community.
Sure.
And I think some people have done that.
Sure. Yeah.
So.
So since we have a little bit of time, do we want to talk about the fellowship thing just here?
Sure. That's fine with me. Well, no, I really think we ought to take it offline. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just to fill other people in, we now have a freelance fund, a pool of money that is managed by the SPJ Foundation. And that is made available. The first offering that we've decided to apply the funds toward is fellowships to cover the cost for freelancers to attend the conference this fall. And we got kind of low interest, and also the deadline was kind of early. So we just need to like revive. That's all that, it's nothing like super secret or anything. But that's all that Susan and Hazel are talking about, because the three of us like kind of created this freelance fellowship and are trying to administer it and promote it. So we need to set a new deadline and also come up with a way to like generate more interest in it.
Yeah.
So we can schedule that, and Solomon and Ruth and I can schedule a bylaws session.
Yeah.
Is there any other business to discuss?
It's part of what we were just talking about in terms of the convention, but I just took a look and at least two, I think 3 of our sessions are listed at the moment, but the Freelancing 201 is not yet in the event session description. So should I nag somebody about putting that up there, or are they still just leave it be?
No, they're still working on it.
Okay.
It's just they're putting them up gradually.
Okay.
Okay. And I got an extension from Karen to finalize the program for moving mediums.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, so that's not in there because of that.
Okay. Well, Freelancing 101 and the editor meet and greet is currently listed.
Are both
currently
currently
listed, sorry.
And there's also a program being produced by Sandy West and Ann Hinga Klein, both freelancers, and it's on covering vulnerable people.
Oh, cool.
And trauma and how to protect people and yourself, I guess.
Yeah, I think I saw that one.
Yeah, that's another one. Alex Veneman has proposed and is producing 2 or 3 programs as well. And I
Oh, wow.
saw freelancers listed on others.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So in the past, one thing that Hazel has taken upon herself to do is she's combed through, once the full program lineup is finalized, she's combed through all of it and searched for anything that's relevant to freelancers or that features freelancers as one of the presenters. And she's assembled like a pretty comprehensive, like here's how to rock a sort of a self-made freelance track at the conference. So that's like a volunteer opportunity that we could highlight later this month, at the end of the month, when we host that volunteer fair. Because I don't want to assume that that's something that you'll do again, but it is a really valuable resource. And I think that'd be an easy and kind of interesting way for somebody who's new to the organization to engage and to like really get familiar with all of the offerings.
Yep.
Okay.
This Sandy West, if we can get her involved more, I think she would be a great asset to have on our board, but certainly just involved in any way she can. So let's poach her at the conference.
I coached her through putting her program proposal together and getting it approved.
Awesome.
I met her and we put on some program in Houston. I can't remember exactly which one I met her at, but one of the programs we put on, she showed up to it, and I really liked her. She's very down to earth, very authentic. I really liked her. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Any other? Oh, Paul raised a hand. Yes, Paul.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about applying to the fellowship for the Media Fest, but I wasn't exactly sure, like if you had to be around for a certain number of years, or like I wasn't really sure about the details, or like if someone were to get it, would they have like volunteer opportunities as well, like at the conference?
Yeah.
And more to the point, I think like an opportunity to be mentored at the conference is something that we want to offer to the fellows. And so that can really depend on the needs and interests of the fellows, whether it's like mentorship about how to be involved in SPJ, or, you know, how to break into a new medium, or whatever, to just whatever it is that the fellows are looking for to advance their freelancing. We want to provide those resources, not in addition to, you know, the monetary coverage. We want to provide that as well. And yeah, there are, so there's not like a really strict rubric for scoring the applications, but we did notate like the sort of the universe of considerations. And so I would definitely encourage anyone who's interested, definitely apply, Paul, and anybody else who might be catching this as a recording. Or who
Maybe
might
we
be.
could go ahead now and decide on the new deadline.
Sure.
I guess I was thinking, let's see what. Maybe we make it September. Let's see, I want to give plenty of time before October 4th.
Right.
So maybe we make it like September 25th or something like that.
Sure.
That's a Sunday, but you know, then on
Yeah, but
Monday.
that makes sense.
Okay,
Okay, that's great.
all right.
Sunday, September 25th. you
25th,
said?
yeah.
25th.
Okay.
But the thing I think we need to talk about offline is I wonder if our requirements are a little too strict, because we said at least half your income from freelancing. Is
Yeah.
that right? And I think that there are a fair number of people who might apply for the fellowship who are essentially working in drugstores and grocery stores to make their money, but really wanting to be
Yep.
a
Yeah.
freelance journalist
That's a
and
good point.
needing this
Okay.
kind of experience. So that's what I think we should talk about offline.
Cool. I'm down with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did we talk about when to discuss our programming further, like together, brainstorming and that sort of thing?
Yep.
When did we set a meeting for that?
No, there's not a meeting set for that.
No, but we decided to do a session at the end of this month.
Oh,
um,
okay.
To encourage volunteers, and then a session at the end of September on how to make the most of the convention. Is that what you were asking about, Stacy?
But those are good. That's good for me to know, and I'll go back and watch this recording, the parts I missed.
I
I'm
think
actually
what
wondering.
Stacy's talking about is like talking about our game plan for the convention.
Yep, game plan for the convention, but also, sorry, my blood sugar's low, so I had to stop and get a McFlurry. Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
right. Excuses.
No, it really is. My daughter's in the car. She can vouch for me. She's like, do you need to like stop? Do you need to go in and get sugar? I'm like, I do. Anyway, so I think like having certainly a game plan about like, like the Freelance Corner and what we're doing, what we can add, those
Or
kinds of
we're doing
details.
like the restaurant thing again, or that type
Yep,
of extra.
exactly. All those kinds of things. And I also would like to talk to, it doesn't have to be a whole meeting, but one or two people about the editor meet and greet, which could be the greatest thing we've ever done or an absolute SHIT show, because it's got to be it's got to be tight, right? With all of these editors coming, if they do all show up, right? So if I've got 9 editors, let's say, so I just want to talk to somebody for, it might, a half hour or something, a couple of us, if anybody's interested in doing that with me. And I'm like, what's the best way to run this? And not just stick with what we originally came up with, like how do we see this going in the most effective way, like the most impactful way.
So, oh, go ahead.
So I was just gonna say, I intend to be there. This will be my first national conference, I think, in
Yay.
person. So I intend to be there. If we wanted to talk about that, I'm open to talk about that.
Yeah.
Well, as a program coordinator, I did have some questions about coordinating some of the different programs that we're having.
So maybe what we should do, here's an idea. We scheduled the August volunteer fair for the last Wednesday, which is of August. August volunteer fair in August, August 31st. So what if we do a conference planning meeting on the 4th Wednesday, which is the 24th? Which is
24th.
August 24th, which is 2 weeks from today. Oh, actually, no, I can't do that.
Because I did have some other questions about the event, but I don't want to spend all of our time now with that. So
Excuse me, I was just choking on nothing.
Don't do that.
So here's an idea. Solomon, I feel like maybe you and I should have a one-on-one conversation first, because since you're the program coordinator for a conference that you've never attended, that would probably be great for you to just be able to ask lots of questions, and I can try to transfer as much information as possible. So maybe you and I have a conversation in advance of a group meeting where we can do things like help each other finalize program formats in any way, and do kind of like what Stacy's talking about.
Yeah, I just think it would be good, even if we did have anybody who's presenting at the like anybody who's presenting or moderating, just to kind of go in and say, how is this one going to run? And let's bounce, let's just talk and let's just talk it through. And some of them might take 4 minutes to talk through, and that's it, and then we move on to the next one, just to make sure we've got it all. I don't know, it would really help me, I guess, is what I'm saying.
How about Tuesday? How about a group meeting on that on Tuesday, August 23rd?
I can do that, no problem.
is anybody going to the regional in LA?
What'd you
No,
say?
I have lunch plans. Sorry. with
Is anybody
college
going
friends.
where?
To the regional conference in LA.
Oh, sorry. No.
It looks interesting. I just already had plans.
Okay.
Is there any online option for that, or just is it in person?
Actually, I think they do have an online option.
Okay.
I believe so. I remember seeing that on their website. So yeah, look for that.
Okay.
They'll at least be in this, well, I don't know who's in my time zone and who's not, but it'll be on LA time.
Solomon, does Tuesday, August 23rd work for you for a meeting? You and I can talk one-on-one before then, but we could
As a group meeting for 23rd.
group meeting on the
Yeah,
23rd.
just as long as we get a chance to speak before then, so I can get organized, then that would be great.
Yeah, we can talk next week. I won't really be able to do it this weekend. I'm having a big party on Saturday night with people camping out and fixing breakfast for everybody on Sunday. And so this weekend is kind of out.
Okay.
But next week we could totally talk.
All right, next week, any day except Friday, I think.
Okay. All right, cool. I'll text you that to set that up as soon as we finish this meeting.
All right, and then also before I hopefully today sometime I need some information about logging on to the SPJ Google thing. I keep trying to log on to that, but it just keeps kicking me off. So I'm a little confused here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Into the Google, to the shared drive.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to organize some stuff and I need access to that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know that you had lost access, so I can get you that.
I had a security breach and I think for all of my shared stuff.
Got
So
it.
asking a bunch of people for passwords that I should already have.
Got it. Okay. I can make that happen.
Okay, that's all I have.
Anything else?
Just to let everybody know, I am oh, my daughter just took my hand down because I was getting ready to put more food in my mouth and she thinks it's rude for me to eat while I'm on the phone. So sorry. I love that the
You're bringing
13-year-old
her up well.
I know, the 13, she just grabbed my hand and put my hand down. That was awesome. So I just wanted to let everybody know that I don't know how many unaffiliated, I don't know how many delegates there are for Region 1, but I am one of the delegates for the unaffiliated members for Region 1.
Awesome. Thank you for doing that.
Officially.
Yay.
Yay.
Cool. Thank you for doing that.
Oh, quickly. I know everybody was behind, including myself. I had a rough couple of weeks. So trying to get a description of what you need for volunteers. We had talked about that, but we never got that out. I kind of need to know, like, I would like to have a central list of what we're looking for volunteers. You know, everyone's little compartmental, little department, kind of an idea of what you want people to do so we can have a simplified idea of that, like a centralized list. I can make that Google file and share it with everyone. And then instead of trying to send it by email, just write on there what you're looking for a volunteer.
Yeah, and we have that file started, and Solomon is program coordinator in advance of the volunteer fair at the end of August. If you could crack the whip and make sure that everybody submits what volunteer opportunities there are in their respective departments, that would be super helpful.
Yeah, because I'd like to have those things that we're asking people to volunteer to do presented as positives. You know, it's an opportunity for people to do things they like, not an opportunity to volunteer their time. So I kind of want to know what I'm asking them to do so we can describe it in a way that people would like it.
Yep. Yep, definitely. And yeah, and match people with the right skill sets and so forth.
Yeah, some people asking to do graphic design. I do photography. Other people do other stuff. So if they have an idea what they want to do before then, that would be great. And that would make a bigger incentive for them to show up instead of them feeling like they're going to show up to something being told to do something they may not like.
Right. No, we like to make things fun here in the freelance community.
I don't know how I'm going to find anybody who thinks it's fun to update data in a database, but
I'm gonna love. Listen, Hazel, I'm gonna love doing the Airtable.
all right, I know
I'm gonna love it.
Stacey.
Hey, there's some data journalists out there that are very excited by that and have, I'm sure, spouses and partners that fall asleep at night hearing about how Airtable is awesome.
Wait, I was actually not kidding. I actually am really excited to do it. I have a list. Hazel, I have a list. I have a document. I have a document right now where I'm saving all the different pitching guidelines that I'm finding so that I can like add to it when we get to that point.
Oh, wonderful.
We're all like that. My wife falls asleep hearing about photography equipment and methods that she has no interest in.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I'm not the only data geek here then, so that's good.
Yeah, so that's all I really needed from there. And then if you said that started online, I probably haven't seen it because I haven't been able to have access to the box. So
yeah. Okay. I'll make sure that you get back into that folder. And then yeah, and you can help update that document because it needs to be tightened up and updated.
Okay, then another thing I wanted to bring up is that ONA, the Online News Association, has a they have a, what do you call it, a Slack where people drop information about stuff. I'm looking into if we can drop information about because they have a space where you can drop general town square information about different things. a lot
Yeah,
of
you
these
can
people
have
also-
conversations there and everything. My only concern is that it is possible to have too many places to interact. It becomes a little overwhelming.
Well,
I
I don't
wasn't
think
thinking of
that he
having
would,
us do it. I'm just thinking of putting information for our events there,
Okay,
like links to the newsletter, stuff like that.
yeah, that might work.
yeah. Okay. Great. Let's see. So, I think especially not so much like a link to the newsletter maybe, because that's like a value added benefit for people who are members of the freelance community.
Right,
I
that's
think
members
that would be a
only.
great point. I think that like cross promoting in other journalism organizations and groups is great for like programs that we have coming up. As long as it just comports with whatever that organization's rules are about promoting your stuff outside of their organization.
Yeah, they have slots for that specifically. So
Okay.
I'm actually writing an email to ask them specifically about that. Like some
Great.
other people, the guy from the leader of the New England SPJ put his one of his events on there.
Nice.
Prompted me
Cool.
that.
Okay, great. Cool. All righty. Anything else before we close the meeting?
You want to
Paul?
exchange some information here?
Yeah, I just put in my information, but for the editor meet and greet, is it like they're gonna all meet in like one room and like network with a bunch of editors in a room, pretty much?
So
We
the
don't know.
editor, the editor meet and greet is going to be, I've got maybe, I think the description of it online, they only let you list 3 speakers. So I only have 3 editors listed because I'm gonna ask Karen if I can get a couple more people listed, but we'll have, right now we have, I think 8 or 9 that have confirmed. Probably 2 or 3 will say no, and I'll probably get 2 or 3 others. But I would say between 7 and 10 editors probably will show up. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick, and it depends on how many people are coming, but I got to get them to do a very quick introduction of who they are and what their publication is so we can just know them. I've also asked for a projection screen because I want to put their names and emails up there.
Good
Because
idea.
if you don't get to talk to somebody and you want to, hey, I was at this, you want to be able to reach out to them. So I want to put everybody's name, title, publication, and email on the projection screen. So hopefully we do get that.
Cool.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to have them basically introduce themselves, say what kind of freelancers or what they're looking for quickly. That's one of the things I want to talk to you guys about in planning this. And then we're going to break up into small groups, like an editor and each, going to different an editor there'll be 7 editors, 7 tables. And hopefully in my dreams, this is what I'm imagining, and chairs around the tables. And we're going to have 5 to 7 minutes with each one. And we'll have the editors at the tables talking about what they're looking for in freelancers, how to get in with them, who to contact. It might be them, it might be somebody else at their organization, how to pitch stories, what kind of stories get through, that sort of thing. They'll give you all the details of their specific organization, but they'll also give you just kind of general details of how to be a good freelancer.
Okay.
And then I think I'm going to blow a whistle or something, and then we are going to switch to the next table.
Okay.
So hopefully that'll get everybody through, but just in case people don't get to someone they want to talk to, that's why I'm hoping we'll have, have a handout maybe with the names on
Yeah,
it
if
on the projection screen. And
If they don't give you a screen for that, then a handout would be just as good.
yeah, I do. Yeah, I'll have both just in case. I won't rely on the screen because who knows if it will really show up. So
Yeah. But yeah, when I was at Writer's Digest, they had a pitch slam for the agents, so you could like meet with them. I mean, it kind of sounds a bit similar, and they only give us like 3 minutes to like talk to an agent and then go on to the next one. But it was like very, very
Kind of
quick.
like speed dating.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah, that's
right.
exactly how they said it. So,
Yep.
that kind of sounds similar in a way. Is that like a similar setup, or do you like want to have
well,
like a longer
I mean,
time?
it is, except that no pitches. We don't want anybody bringing pitches. It's not that kind
Well, yeah.
of an event. We are trying to make people better freelancers. So some of these editors, there might be an editor there that it's the editor for, some auto magazine. Well, I don't write about that ever, but I want people to be exposed. I want all of our freelancers who come to this to listen to all of the editors, because they all have insight into that that you could learn from, right? You can learn from, just because you're not going to write for that magazine, that you could learn a lot from this person. Oh, this is what I look for. I never hire people who do X, Y, or Z. I always rehire people who do this. This is the biggest thing I look for. You'll get little nuggets from everybody, even if it's a publication you don't want to work for. And that's like, because I'm not going to have just the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, these massive, some of these are going to be like Indian Country Today. Some of them are going to be smaller editors that you probably won't be appropriate. Some people won't be appropriate to write for, but you can still glean a lot of information from them. So that's why I'm really I want to make sure that everybody switches and doesn't just sit with, the person from the Washington Post the whole time.
All right. So yeah, it's just, figuring out how to like set up the time for that. So I wouldn't know how that was, but also at the Writer's Digest, I actually networked with other agents because they had a cocktail hour. So that was a little thing like afterwards that you could do. But they didn't exactly specifically say you could do that. That just pretty much happened to me like randomly a few times.
I love that. And I didn't do this in San Antonio when we had this first one in person. I don't think I did this in time, but I think that some of the editors would have shown up. Hopefully we can do this again, a happy hour. And I would like to invite the editors to that as well, just to hang out. This is what we're doing. So I invited some of them sort of not after they presented, or after they talked. And I think that if I do that ahead of time, even in an email, say we're doing this, we'd love for you to come over and hang out. They're looking for people. They're just regular people. They want things to do too. They want to have social hours. So hopefully that'll happen. But that's a good idea for me I'm glad you brought that up, because it's a good idea for me to remember to kind of throw that out there to them.
Yeah.
And we are doing the happy hour again, right? Like, should I plan that?
You're the social coordinator, Stacy. I'm counting on you.
Awesome.
And Hazel, who's not here anymore. Well, I know she's kind of burned out, but she might, with the DC group, they might know more of restaurants and stuff.
Yep. And maybe I might get their recommendations for the area that we're in. And I
can help with that.
I might call them. Okay. I might call the places and see if they give me 5 or 6 recommendations. I might call them all and just say, hey, we're bringing, 40 people over. Do you have, and this is for a, nonprofit organization. Do you have any, I'm going to ask for would you give people 2 drink coupons or whatever? So I don't know, maybe I can sort something like that out.
I have to double check the location for the convention, but one of my all-time favorite DC places is Kramer Books, which they have both an indoor and an outdoor cafe. And if I remember right, I've never used it, but because I can't do the steps anymore, but I think there's also some upstairs dining space, and that would be a lot of fun. It's right on DuPont Circle. Lots of shops around.
Is it do you think it's big enough?
Yeah. I just
okay.
don't know if they would turn over their space for a group like that, because
I see.
It's a very popular dining place plus bookstore, or bookstore plus dining place, however you want to think of it.
Right.
It is a pilgrimage.
Well, that's one thing we might put on the volunteer list is somebody to research restaurants, like recommended restaurants to have lunch at. So we can have a list.
For the group, you mean?
Just like for volunteer opportunities before the conference, somebody in the DC area to come up with a list of like, because I don't know if we're going to do the brown bag stuff or not, but like if we had a list of restaurants that would be helpful.
That are walking distance.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is anybody staying in the hotel?
Doubt it.
I am.
I mean, doubt I am is what I meant by that.
Yeah.
I haven't booked yet, but I'm gonna look for something cheaper.
I'm probably gonna do Airbnb or something.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
go and
I
join
mean-
Friends too.
friends' houses.
I get to
I'm-
stay in the hotel as the Harper scholarship thing.
Oh, yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
I see.
Nice.
Yeah.
I booked the hotel like 4 months ago, so I'm in it, which I think it's a lot more expensive now. When I booked it, it was just when I kind of knew where it was going to be, and it was before it was really announced, and I got a pretty good rate. But that could be if anybody wants to I'm only saying this because I find it very difficult when you have a hotel, when you're staying in a hotel that's not the conference hotel. So anybody in our board that wants to, if you want to leave a pair of shoes or a bag or anything or change of clothes in my room and use it, please
Oh,
feel
that's
free to
nice.
do that.
Thank you.
So I would have loved if I had a chance to do that at some of these conferences I've been at, like just to like, oh, can I just put these shoes in there? Well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
Thank you.
yeah.
1008, the hotel, the address of the hotel is 1000 H Street Northwest. And I will check with Hazel and one of my other DC friends, but if that's where I think it is, it might be walking distance to Union Station, which has all kinds of meal places.
Oh, cool. It's definitely the hotel's in a great area. The conference is in a, very nice area.
Yeah, I have no doubt about that. I'm just doubting whether or not I'm going to be staying in a very nice area.
Yeah, no, that I was going to say, like, if it's going to be very hard to find anywhere nearby is not going to be any cheaper, I guess is what I like. Nearby hotels are going to be just as expensive.
Yeah, it's like,
About the
it's-
same.
yeah, it's basically like 5 blocks from the White House.
I'm
Exactly.
concerned about carrying, $15,000 worth of camera equipment on my back in the subway. So that's
Yeah.
that's something I'm more worried about for me.
Oh yeah, geez.
So
Wait, why are you taking your equipment?
I take my camera everywhere I go. That's just
He's a photographer. That's what they do.
I'm not even
What's
thinking
gonna
that
happen at the White House?
What if breaking news happens?
Yeah, he's
And
ready.
and I might actually meet an editor that would speak to me. I don't know. Been a rough week this week. Okay.
Well, should we call it a wrap on the official meeting? I can end the recording, and then if people want to stay and chit chat, we can stay and chit chat.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
All right, that's what I will do. So closes the freelance community meeting. Thanks for being here, everybody.